this conversation today. Please welcome with me, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Oluseun Ademokun. Good afternoon, Sean, as we like to call him.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon,
Apologies again.
How are you doing?
Apologies again to you.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It was an
I
oversight. I
understand.
picked the wrong link.
Yeah, I've been here like 30 minutes before time. I sent you a message, but it's all right. To
Sorry.
understand. Good. Yeah.
Sorry. I rushed down from where I was just to be in time for this. I couldn't even really change. So the conversation started before you guys came in, and the conversation is a very interesting conversation about how do you find people who can support your goals and revenue ambitions, whether as CEO, like Tayo, for example, or as leader in HR and people operations like Seun. How do you find people who can bring exceptional value? What has been your experience trying to, and I know, Mr. Seun, you've been trying to fill tens and tens of roles in sales of recent and even revenue leadership. What has been your experience? Let's start with you.
Can you hear me? I think the network is a bit. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear
Yes,
you.
I
Please
can
go
hear
ahead.
you, sir.
Did you get my
Yes,
question?
the experience has been. No, could you just run it again, please? It was breaking in between.
So I said that my my question was, in your job as someone who is required to manage, quite a number of workforce, you've had experience trying to recruit very experienced hires, whether in managing unit businesses under your group or even in managing sales and revenue, deliverables. Has it been a very palatable experience? What has been your experience in finding people who can bring real value in terms of helping your organization to achieve growth in that business?
Well, yeah, it's been very worthwhile. Let me just put that way. I naturally would love to be very positive in every experience I've had. It's been very Herculean though, but I've noticed that it's actually, if you are looking for experienced people, especially for sales, most especially in terms of, I work in an IT firm. It's futile to advertise, really and truly, for any role on any just open media. You will just waste your time. Or, so what I do most often times is I do a close or limited social media group. I talk to one or two or three people within, and then to give me good referrals. And then, of course, I will also definitely will be on the lookout, in a very cold way. So this is a race against timeline, so it's not been easy, really and truly. But we've been able to overcome it, because especially when you're looking for good talents that are very, very suitable for that role.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if you are still speaking. We seem not to be hearing you again. Can anyone
No,
hear you?
did you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Tayo Ilori, what has been your experience in terms of this? I know that you have quite a number of people working with you. What's been your experience?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone again. Experience is not different from what the gentleman that spoke before me has mentioned. However, what's critical for me is I tell my recruiting team, my talent development and management team to say, I am looking for people from this specific industry, this specific kind of talent. In fact, sometimes I tell them, go and look for people from this place, that place, talk to this individual, and I sort of guide them. Because my realization is when you leave HR, and it's not their fault, they're hiring for like 1,000 different roles. When you leave them to just getting CVs, they just shortlist on the basis of what they get. So you as the person that knows what you are looking for, where you are looking from, piloting them to where you want them to get the CVs and probably providing them referrals becomes easy for them to get you the kind of CVs that can suit you. And I always insist, despite the fact that my job is managing the entire organization, I want to see the final shortlist, or I want to see your first set of shortlists so that I'm sure that you are bringing the right people into the pool. Otherwise, I say, look, I'm not interested. Go out back again, go and start all over again. But most importantly, let them know where to target, who to target, and the kind of skill set you are looking for. Otherwise, they'll just advertise on social media and all manner of people will come in. That's it. Bumi, you're on mute.
Interesting. So let me jump into the second question, TY. What attracts in your experience? I mean, working with hundreds of this kind of guys. What attracts high performance in your experience? What do you think are the specific things that if you're going to get the real kind of guys who can, move the needle, what do you think are the things you must have on the table that usually would attract them?
So first, for every salesman, what attracts them is if I am managing a small territory, the aspiration is I want to go and manage a bigger territory.
A bigger,
Or a territory sales manager. So if I'm very good, I want to go and become an area sales manager, or I want to go and become a regional sales manager. So increasing responsibility is very critical to attracting the right salesman. That's one. Now, the other part of it is
increasing responsibilities.
Yeah, helping you to get that. That's one. Then number two for me, from what I have seen, when people have worked in very good, especially multinational organizations where they've been properly trained and all of that, and you realize that growth has become stagnant for them in their organization and they look out, being able to understand the skill set and fit them into your own organization at the right level of responsibility attracts them. Then the third one is, what's the value of your organization, right?
What's the value of the organization?
Yeah, that the value of the organization. And I'm not talking about the size of your what's it called, turnover. That's not what I'm talking about. Who are you? Who are the kind of people in the organization? How do you guys behave with each other? Is there respect for people and all of that? That then attracts people to you to say, I want to work in that organization. So I think I'll leave that. Those are three things that I'll mention. Sure,
very important values. Very important values. Thank you very much. Let me come back to Runke, and she's mentioned, you were telling us a story. If you don't mind, if you want to complete that story, I won't mind. You were telling us a story. You started with, hiring someone who was who claimed to have worked in a place where you have worked, and this person was laying claims to the things they did not do. So how did that story end? Hired him, reject him, tell him to his face that he was lying. And how did he feel?
Sincerely, as much as I wanted to respect the guy, the lying part was really a put off, and I had to respectfully tell him that I am certain a number of things that you've said wasn't correct. He wasn't arguing with me, so to say, but he never admitted on that call that he was lying. So the HR had to tell him, oh, we'll review and get back to you to know the next step. You know how HR used to coin those words, but I knew right there that we never, I think there was an email to him telling him, oh, we've moved on to other candidates like that. And that was the end of the whole thing. Because we knew he was actually lying, and that was the end of it.
Fantastic. You have worked with some guys who are outstanding.
Very well.
I know you. Well. I know you yourself. You have been a spectacular sales performer, if I can say that. And you have also worked with some persons who have not pulled their weight. What do you think is usually the differentiator when it comes to the right kind of guys and the ones that are not quite there?
Most times, mindset. Most time, mindset. Because if you look at those guys that are performing, And let me also, for the people that are joining, that are just joining, I'd apologized. I lost my voice over the night. I woke up with sore throat, so please manage with me this evening.
We
So
can hear
most
you.
times, if you pick a performer and an underperformer, and if you take time to sit with both of them, under 15 minutes, you would pick one or two things that is attached to their mindset, how they see things, how they see sales as as a role, and how they see themselves in that profession. And once that mindset is actually tampered with in a wrong way, it then takes more conscious effort to get the right from the underperformer whose mindset are not aligned. If someone's mindset is rightly aligned, even if they are not performing as we expect them to, I think the fact that they have the right mindset with the right tutoring, they might actually get in line. It might take some time. Can the company wait for that time? I'm not sure. But most times they get to catch up. But if the mindset is actually wrong, you know, says people that would say at least for the next 6 months, I will be getting my salary. That mindset is already telling them that they know after 6 months they are leaving this organization. So if they do not care what happens now
In
and the
that
next
6
month,
month period.
they don't care.
Mm.
What they want to do is, once it's in the 5th month, they started sending resume out again, then waiting for the next
Unlucky customer.
unlucky customer to pick them up from the market. So the mindset is there. Another thing is some people see sales as, I just want to hide somewhere. So, but if you're seeing it the way you should see sales, like every other valuable profession, then you're not, the difference between the guy that is performing and the guy that is not performing. That is why number one thing was the right mindset. The second one is the environment, what they are both exposed to. The performing guy, I've been privileged to be on both ends. Yeah, I find myself underperforming in an organization before, and I critically had to analyze it if it was a me problem or the organization problem. If I had not performed in my previous role, I would have mistakenly taken it as a me problem. But I had to do that critical analysis to be very sure that it wasn't a me problem. So sometimes it might be the organization. So that was why I used the word environment also um also play a role. Imagine finding yourself in an organization whose product is not market fit.
Hmm.
No matter how super salesman you are, you most likely end up underperforming.
Absolutely.
So I'll rest it here.
Thank you very much. And I mean, fantastic points. The mindset is always a very critical part of the performance of a salesperson. And sometimes when I look at especially when I had the opportunities to interview for senior sales roles, once I see you asking, things around, okay, what will happen, in the first 3 months? How do you manage people that are not performing very well? once I hear this kind of questions, that if somebody, I see the target, but if someone does not meet with that target exactly, what will happen? Once I hear those questions, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm beginning to say, maybe you're not the kind of person that you're looking for. Mr. Sheon, you have had a lot of experience also recruiting salespeople. Have they been very nice to you? What do you think? What do you think, on a more serious note? How do you say this guy is likely to be? I mean, there's no way we can know for certainty. That's the truth. But how do you begin to say this guy is likely to be a real star performer? What are the things that you
Okay.
look out for?
Well, maybe I'm more of a psychologist. So just like the other speaker just mentioned, the mindset. So it's part of the things that we also look at in terms of body language, the way you talk, what your curiosity, your insecurity, you know, as per in the next 3 months, what if I don't meet, what are the plans and rest of them. So we kind of decipher, but as a way to the way we run this critical analysis and try and nip it in the bud within, we don't even wait for 6 months, really and truly. By the time we look at even your body language, for instance, we just had some very experienced person, and then the interview was not concluded, took a long time due to some exigencies and rest of it, because he has to go from one phase of the interview to another phase of the interview. But towards this last phase of the interview, he already was disturbing us. What do I mean by that? He was saying he's going to Delta, he has something, he was asking for product knowledge of some things that he, you know, so we could see that he was ambitious. It was, for us, it was a good sign, even though he hasn't been given offer letter, you know. But we have people who don't just, you know, don't mind, they just keep quiet and everything. So by the time we see your mindset to want to achieve, irrespective of the Herculean task or in terms of target we've given the person, you know, we'll know, you know, this person may likely be a good choice, you know. But for us, we just give you 3 to 6 months, and once we can't see some pipeline and your body language in terms of how you know you want to make it, how you want to achieve your target, then we'll start putting question mark on you. And then nevertheless, we also give because what we sell or what we promote are not just off the shelf product and services. So we also look at some other things, because we also provide leads and see your
Pipeline.
the ways you are going to go about it, ambition, your enthusiasm, and rest of them. So, you know, so these are the things we look at. But within the 3 to 6 months, we can still give you another 3 months. Under 1 year, we'll know what to do, you know, in terms of giving you performance improvement plan and rest of it. So those are because we are performing, and our culture is performance driven, so to say. So we don't tolerate indolence or any way. We can just ease you out the best way we can.
Fantastic. All right, so let me come back. If you have your questions, you can drop it. We'll take a short break before we take further questions. We'll take a short break of about just 3 minutes. And let me announce that we are 100. The maximum capacity of this room is 100. And a couple of people may want to join. If you are a part of our team, okay. If you're a part of our team, if you don't mind, you can use other channels, since we have other channels that we can use to listen to this, so that 1 or 2 persons can come. Please do not go anywhere. I'll be taking your questions. When we come back, we'll be talking about how do you retain the guys that you have hired that are, you know, fantastic guys. And I think the panelists also have 1 or 2 questions for me. I'll take those questions, and someone says that's more like an edgy interview. If you can't deliver, go. I hope the pay matches the work. Yeah, the pay will always match the work. A sales job is always a performance-driven job. That's how it is. If you don't deliver, you go. It's stated. It's an unwritten rule in sales. Almost everybody that is experienced in sales know that. All right. Thank you very much. We'll be back here in about 3 minutes. Please don't go anywhere. All right.
Many of the prospects you are talking to are saying they'll get back to you, and they've never gotten back to you. Or maybe you even have, you know, a lot of deals in your pipeline, and none of them is responding again. Or maybe you have situations where you're talking to multiple decision makers, and all of them are telling you confusing things. Listen, there is an approach to selling that produces results. Sales is a process-driven sport. If you understand the processes, you will get the right outcomes. Whether you're in B2B or you're selling to HNI, you need to engage the processes for selling to these kinds of people. Teach how can you find the most qualified leads that are likely to buy, right? It's happening at the Sales Masterclass in Abuja. The virtual sessions we're going to start on the 6th. It's going to be very powerful. And physically, we're going to be meeting at One Elvis Hotel, Wuse, on the 15th. You don't want to miss this for anything. You click on the link below right now, you'll get access to all of the information in addition to the first module of this training. This is the transformation that you need, or that your sales team needs, to meet the goals for 2025. Come, let's win together. If you don't have a repeatable revenue system, what you have, it's not a business. It's a hustle. Yeah. If frequently your team members are not aligned across departments around revenue objectives, even some of them may be fighting your revenue objectives indirectly. What you have is a hustle, not a business. Here's inviting you to the Revenue Strategy Mastermind, holding in Abuja this May. And I'll be showing you how to create repeatable revenue systems, right? The kind of culture that empowers organizations to create repeatable revenue. Number 2, I'll be showing you how to create the processes and systems that deliver repeatable revenue. Number 3, how to implement the kind of tools that deliver exceptional revenue outcomes, particularly repeatable revenue outcomes. It's going to be a very detailed class where you will be learning some of the things that I'm sure you've never heard before. It's happening both physically and virtually. All right, the virtual element starts on the 6th of May. The second session will be physical. It's happening live at One Elvis Hotel, Wuse 2. It's going to be another immersion. You can sign up right now. Click the link below, the sign up, for all the details, including the brochure, the materials, the information about the training. You can get that by signing up. And on top of that, you're getting free access to the first module of this training. Yeah, free access to the first module for free. You get that, right? Just by clicking on the link.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I can see the questions already dropping. We're going to take them one by one. Maybe I'll reduce my own questions so that we can take questions. If you have any, you can raise your hand. I will allow you to speak. The question is from Mr. Francis Ibiajudo. Before taking the questions, let me say again that we have 2 trainings happening in Abuja. In the course of this week, they're starting. Next week is physical day for Revenue Strategy Mastermind this Tuesday, and it's Wednesday, and the Sales Masterclass is Thursday. If you have a sales team that are not performing and you believe that they have the right attitude, they just need, people who can shape them, their capabilities, send them to the Sales Master class. Don't even think twice about it. That's what they need for you to be able to help them to deliver on the goals that you have for them for this year. Right? And that's the place of training in all of what we're discussing. If you have salespeople that they are not performing and you think you're not satisfied with how they work, and it's not that they have zero interest, it's just that they do not know how to do the sales the right way. You can register using the link that you see on the screen. Register your interests. My team would get across to you, share the details, and you can pay. It is a transformative, very experiential training. It's not a training of how to know in the class. You do it. You do deciding from the class, starting on Tuesday. The second one is for CEOs and executives. It's called Revenue Strategy Mastermind, where we teach you how to create a repeatable revenue model. And like the advert says, if you do not have a repeatable revenue model, what you have is a hustle, not a business. Business generates repeatable revenue, right? So we're going to teach you the structure to creating repeatable income, guaranteed income. Well, not guaranteed, but something that you can grow in a scientific manner, not in an opposite manner. So it's the business of growth. I invite you to join us at Bon Elvis Hotel, right, next week. But registration to join is ending already. You can use the link below. All right, so back to class. Let's take the questions that we have. Right, and I see a number of persons who have dropped their question. The first question here is from Francis Ibiajulu. Francis Ibiajulu say, where is the role of training in making your sales team perform at the level of results that you expect of them? I'll throw this question to Taya, and I will only add, you know, even though I said, where is the role of training? And I'm a training organization, so I love training. But is it everybody? Let me add that question to the question that's why we answer. Is it every non-performing person that you train? And then the
Okay,
part B is the
so
question that he asked. Where's the role?
okay, so let me start from the first one. Is it everyone you train? And I'll go from yes, I'll train everybody. So when you get into an organization and you are leading an organization in the capacity of the MD, GM, whatever it is, and you want to deliver results, you realize that the first set of things is to analyze what's the strength of my salespeople. And if the strength is not, if there are gaps, I won't selectively say send them to Sales Ruby one by one. So I'd rather pull them into a class for something and I brief a sales training organization to say, you know what, I want to train my people. Even though I know there are weaklings, there are strong people in the team. Now that's
Puts
one
them
way to
together.
do it. So I'll put them together because the weak guys can learn from the strong guys
What's the
and they
reason?
can learn
Okay.
from
Okay.
the weak guys can learn from the strong guys and they can learn from the training organization and they see where their gaps are and they start to push and pull themselves up. That's one reason why I would put everybody together and do the needful, right? So now it does not stop me from weeding off bad performers ultimately, because I will do that through a performance improvement plan. I will do that through various methods. But would I stop training them even if I know that I'm going to weed them out? The answer is no, because you never can tell. People do change. There could be reasons why they are not performing at the level they expected at that point in time. So I'll train everybody. That's the first answer, Bumi. Now, on to the second question, which the gentleman has asked. Where is the role of training to make your sales team perform at the level of expected result? It's not training that would make your people perform. Like the lady had said, the mindset, the energy level, the product knowledge they have, their interest in being able to deliver results is very, very important.
Their desire to want to function at the highest level.
Exactly. So no matter how much training you give to people, whether it's in sales or anywhere, if they are not ready to deliver, they will not deliver. So that training for a lot of people is just, I'm going to a classroom, I'm getting a certificate, I'm writing it down that I've been doing ABC. And it's completely different from, I have a desire to want to create a change. I want to make a difference. And that is inside them. So product knowledge, interest to deliver results, and the sort of passion you have for what you do. For my organization, if you don't have passion for farmers, if you don't have passion for being on the field in the sun, you cannot be a good salesman. So training is good, but it's not all enough. That's what I would say to the gentleman.
Fantastic question. And you know, I say when it comes to training, I say that there are 4 things that add to performance. Any organization where you see exceptional performance, they typically will have 4 things. I mean, I call it the 4 pillars of performance and of people performance. And the first thing is, you know, the mindset that has been happily described. if you have people that do not have the right mindset, they will often struggle. I see people who will cost this country, they will cost Nigeria, and cost the economy, and cost the president, and cost, I mean, many times they feel justified in themselves, and they may be right, but the reality is that once you have that mindset that nothing is working, it's difficult to make anything work in your own life. That's what I've seen again and again. If you have the right mindset that there is scarcity everywhere, it's difficult for you to live in abundance every single time, right? And the second one is the functional skills, which of course you can train for, right? Functional skills. The third one is the behavior and the attitude. The behavior and the attitude. If you do not behave in certain ways, you cannot get certain outcomes. There are specific behaviors that are expected in specific environments. If you don't align with those behaviors, it's difficult for you to see the kind of results that are expected in those environments. And the fourth one, which is also very critical, is the processes and systems. And this is where organizations are critical. Many organizations, you will see that they don't have those processes that enable exceptional performance. So the individuals that are supposed to perform in those organizations struggle, right? So I will take that question to Mr. Sheung. All right. What role can organizations play in supporting, in addition to training, in supporting and enabling exceptional performances in their teams?
Okay, thank you. I want to add to the training and development aspect that Mr. Tayo mentioned. And this is very, very important to us as human resources. Learning only takes place after there's a behavioral change, after a training program. So it has to do with behavior, just like you mentioned. So just attending training is not good enough. After training, you now start monitoring what value have you gotten from that true behavioral change, which is very, very key. We need to just buttress that. So not just attending training every now and then. So back to the question concerning what are the roles that organization can do to support salespeople in terms of retaining them, right? If I can get your question right. Yeah.
Correct.
So there are...
No, in terms of helping them to perform well.
Okay, so would, of course, the product knowledge aspect of it, making them to perform very well. And then product management, product knowledge aspect of it has to do with you also understanding what you are selling. I mean, for instance, it's quite difficult for technology to be sold if you don't understand it. You start speaking the languages of what the technical guys say, so that when you meet your potential client or buyer, you will know that this is what I need to do. And then also, we need to also create growth opportunities for them, to know what will advance their career, because that's also will motivate them. Then strong leadership and mentorship is highly required, and I think that we should also define
rooms on mentorship.
Yes, mentorship, clear vision on how to provide coaching, good mentorship to foster good culture of growth and improvement. I think that's another key aspect that we need to. Then to also help, we must have a collaborative culture. This is very key, in my own opinion. To want to work with others who are equally driven and strive for excellence is another aspect, because with us let's also appeal to their psychology too, because I mean, when you are making sales, you also want to see what it's in for me. And then recognition is very key, in my own opinion. Recognition and reward. Now, recognition doesn't have to be just like one of the write-up I did some months ago. Recognition has to be on the spot, It doesn't have to always be in cash. It could be in kind. Someone does something apart from the sales commission aspect of it and rest of them. Recognize the person, giving the person a CEO handshake, launch with the MD CEO. It's very, very key. I mean, I think it's some spontaneous way to recognize immediately. Yes. And another factor is to also have access to resources and tools, in terms of the whole world is driven by data now. When you have performed very well, you know to perform, give them data in terms of this is where we are as organizations for our sales, market share, and this is where we want to aspire. And how do we, analytics aspect of it, tools to provide for them, and then also provide a flexible working environment. Flexible in the sense that they should be able to, determine what they want to do. I mean, without compromising their job in terms of absenteeism. Now, when I say providing flexibility, not necessarily, we know sales are on the go. Not necessarily you have to be in the office every now and then, but presenteeism also is not performance. So that's why you need to know that set clear goals and then let them be the Lord and Alpha of their time with the intention to achieve their targets. So I think these are the ways one can also help in making the sales experts also do their job diligently. Can you hear me, please? I think I've lost it. Everybody is there.
Yes, I can hear you, sir, but I think it's Mr. Bumi's network.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure he will come back in.
Yes. I think while we are waiting for him to come back in, I just wanted to chip in something to what the last speaker just mentioned. And if you look at the questions critically, is majorly around the role of training. I think most times organization we assume a lot, and we just say, oh, since this guy is not performing very well, let's send this person to Sales Ruby to go and take sales 101, how to be a super salesman. Most times we maybe not deliberately forget the part where we need to engage with this resource first to even understand the kind of training that is required. Sometimes it might not be soft skill training, it might be hardcore, it might be core training, maybe product knowledge. Sometimes it might be, oh, this guy is unable to manage relationships. Maybe I'm getting these relationships, I'm attending webinars, I'm attending events, but I'm unable to follow up on this relationship. I'm unable to call these guys and schedule a meeting with this guy. It might be because the guy could not even handle negotiations. And this is why this guy is not performing very well. But most times, organization will just zero it up and we just say, send him to LBS, send him to Bumi Chembola, where we have not even identified the actual training this guy needs so many times. So because I've actually seen that while engaging with these guys, you then need to sometimes you realize that, oh, it's not that this guy does not understand how to manage relationship. It's most likely because he doesn't understand how to sell cybersecurity. He doesn't understand how to sell an IT solution to an enterprise company, which is also a different training. I just wanted to chip in that while we have Mr. Bumi join the call. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not sure Bumi's back. Is he back now?
Okay. Can I say something?
Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you. My name is Francis. I was the one that asked the question about sales team and training. I just wanted to add to what Ms. Follow-Shaw said some time ago in our opening remark, talking about environment, and that was very apt, Madam. That I'm a testimony to that. I worked in an organization where the distance, again, most recruiters don't know that distance plays a role in impacting on the quality of delivery of your salesperson. I was living on the mainland and I work in Lekki Phase 1. I have to wake up by 4 a.m. every morning. I have to leave my house 5 a.m. Then I have to resume before 8 or by 8. I tell you one thing, for the first 3 months, I was useless. I was useless. I couldn't even process my own thoughts because now the traffic on the island, I close 5. Before I get to my house is around 9:30 at times 10. Then I have a very short time with my family. By 12:01, I hit the bed. By 4, I have to wake up. So most times when you don't know this about the people you are recruiting, no matter how intelligent or how good that person is in sales, there are certain internal factors which has to do with mindset that affect their delivery and their productivity. My productivity was hampered, and the first 3 months I could not do anything. And to them, I could not perform. I had to leave. But by the time I joined a new company on the mainland, same industry, in the last first 6 months, I was pulling millions in revenue. And I asked myself what went wrong. Like you said, there are certain things, if you do your self-appraisal, you need to know whether it is you or your environment. So now, in addition to that, I was working under a CEO who I was reporting to directly, who was my line manager, who was very unsociable. You know, when you are in the work environment and she makes it very toxic, you know, by her own, you know, admission. Even when I was leaving, she told me some personal things and all of that. And after I left, I realized that a whole lot of people also left because
Time. You can
okay,
keep
all
it
right.
to the next 30
So,
seconds.
all right.
What's the question?
Okay, I think I'm done. I just needed to chip that in. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. I think that point is very well made. I agree with you. It goes, I mean, we're dealing with machines, and I'm sure, I don't know whether Tayo, for example, wants to say something, say anything.
No, so in terms of what Francis has said, I mean, it's apt for us to understand who we are dealing with. And that's why, in my own case, when I find out that people are underperforming, especially if they are salespeople underperforming, the first person I'm talking to is I'm talking to the line manager of that individual. What's going on in the life of this person? What's the circumstance? Where does he live? Where is his family? And so it helps to provide context about the person. Now, if none of that is a problem and we can't get through the block to know what his challenge is, then at that point, I bring in my HR team today. I needed to have a private conversation with this person to understand what's going on in his life or her life, and then determine how we can support the individual. When all of that is explored and done, and there is no improvement, then I won't have a choice other than say, guys, we put this person on a performance improvement plan. I know there's a question on the chat box that talks about performance improvement, but we can discuss that later on. But for me, what's most important is putting a human face into having conversation with people. Some people are underperforming just because of what Francis has said, which is you're stressed, you're working, you're living in Kafancha, you're working in Adamawa, and so you're traveling forth and back. You already lost your life even before you engage your customers. So for me, it's critical you put a human face to understanding your people before you take a decision on are they performers or non-performer. But I think in today's conversation, the conversation is more about if everything were right, how do you make sure that your team deliver fantastic results? So Bumi, I'll take it back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you've provided a very rounded feedback in that regard, and and I agree with you almost like 1000%, because let's put a human face to the job, whatever job you're doing. At the back of it are humans who have emotions, who have blood running to their veins, and you must ensure that they feel satisfied, they feel valued, they feel treasured. So if they are living very far from where they are, where their work is, look for how to soothe that. If there are things you can do to just alleviate, their sufferings, you should do that. But having said all of that, it's important to recognize that we have a culture of underperformance in Nigeria. All right. A culture, an endemic culture of underperformance across all kinds of industries. And when you look at that and you understand that, it will help you to. I mean, there are. I've been in this business about a decade, and so I've been an opportunity to have, whether in my business or businesses that I consult for, conversations around people that are doing well, people that are not doing well, and then in some instances, close to 70% of the cases, you will see that it's not that someone is going through a rough patch. Is maybe not 70%, let me say 50% of the cases. It's not that someone is going through rough patches. I mean, there are people who are going through rough patches and they need help, but it's just a case of I can choose not to perform. I mean, I've had someone tell me to my face before that, the only thing I will not get if I'm not delivering is my commission. I mean, I understand that I will not get commission. And that is already enough punishment. It is enough punishment. It says that that's enough punishment already for not performing. And I laughed to myself. All right, please go ahead. Go ahead.
You're right.
Seun, you wanted to
You're
say
right.
something?
You see, yes, you're right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Yes, you're right. I mean, this is what can-do spirit must be instilled. It's a culture that you need to. You recall that you got in touch with me yesterday, and it was most rough day for me and the rest of them. As I say, attended. So I think that culture has to do with demographic. I mean, in terms of age range and rest of them. And one of the questions I think we should also ask is that how do we blend a multi-generational workforce with as in terms of involving the Gen Zs of this world and the millennials and the baby boomers? When we can integrate them together, I think there will be some value added to the younger ones so that they will know that they can actually do and celebrate results rather than give excuses. That's another point that we need to talk about in terms of entrenching that culture of can-do spirit. That's my.
So let me just ask before we leave you. Let me just ask, what has been your experience between millennials, Gen Zs, and the baby, not the baby boomers, Gen X? What has been your Gen Y, not Gen X? What has been your experience?
Well,
which generation is easier to get good performance from?
Well, with due respect to them, I think the only way is to just try and mentor and coach them. We have a graduate training program because we know that most graduates now are unemployable. Even with your first class and the best universities in this world, especially in Nigeria, they are not employable. So we kind of deploy some kind of strategy in such a way that they will do some internship program. And so from the one they are coming in, we're already instilling competition in them. It's not going to be easy. You do some aptitude tests. After we may do the engagement for almost 3 weeks. They'll be asking us, have you not finished your hiring and rest of them? That's the people who have applied for that internship program. So already, psychologically, we're already instilling performance-driven culture into them. So when they come on board, we're not going to even employ all of them. We employ 50% of them. So within that period, they already know. And then, of course, we are also blending the line manager, the frontliners, the line managers who are close to them to mentor them. They are basically learning. So what we do is onboarding them. We'll tell them you have come to learn. We'll only give you some stipends to come and learn. Ideally, you're supposed to give us money for learning, but we are giving you that stipends for you so that you won't have any excuse. And so within 3 to 4 months, we'll be doing evaluation. So that's the way we kind of blend. It's been very Herculean. It's not been easy, but by the time we look at it, I can tell you on the average, at least in the Gen Zs of this world, especially in our industry, if they spend minimum of 3 to 5 years working with you, that means our strategy has been working. So because they are too restless to 1, 2, 3 years and they move on to another next level. But they now realize that there are skills that you are going to learn elsewhere that is beyond money, So I think it's been quite an experience for us, and we understand their mindset, and we have had some strategy to also help them to
I
intervene.
have two questions for you guys. So you said they are very restless. They will not agree. They will not agree with you. Don't let them sue you for that one.
When I say restless, I mean, of course, energy. You know what I mean? They are very, very energetic and restless. So, when I say restless, it means that there are times when you need to also strike a balance, to be able to know where you're coming from, where you're going to.
So I have two questions here. One person is comparing millennials and Gen Zs. I think I should throw that question to Adin. Okay, what's been your own experience? Who are the better guys to? I don't want to say better guys. I think we should be learning
No.
rather than discriminating.
Exactly.
Rather than discriminating. So, what has been your own experience? Who have you gotten better results from? And what do you think are the approaches that can help us get better results from other generations, especially Gen Zs?
I think I already wrote my answer in the chat panel though. And I've had the privilege of working with both Gen Z and the millennials. And because of the nature of my industry, I'm in the tech space. I have lot and lot of Gen Z. They are both unique people, unique set of people with different understanding of how things should work, right? But because of where I find myself and because of the kind of customers and sectors we're serving, let's say the FSI space, you look at the key stakeholders from the CIOs to the EDs of banks, they are most likely not Gen Z, right? I think millennials have worked for me in that area. I've also been privileged to work in the fintech space where you have lot and lot of Gen Z, right? And for me, millennials have done it for me a number of times. I've had few Gen Z that roll up their sleeves and are ready to work. They are very fantastic people, very vibrant and energetic set of people. They are people that you can call at a particular time and they will deliver your work for you if they are in the right environment. You just have to know and have a way of managing them. We have culture problem in Nigeria and we need to understand that. And because a lot of millennials, because of the way we were trained, right, we can adapt to those seemingly not great culture um, that those Gen Z they cannot agree to. So we can cope, and these guys are not ready to cope. So don't, and because we are coping not entirely means that is the best way. We've developed thick skills to cope to certain things. They are not actually the best. I've seen myself having to take some things, having to shoulder some things that shouldn't be, but because that is how I was brought up, that is how I've practiced in the last 13, 14 years. Should I expect someone that just started practicing in 2 years to accept the same thing? It will be very unfair. A number of times our companies here had also created a culture that are not fit for this generation. And we just have to understand that that is the new generation and we also need to blend into it. I saw a question on the chat panel that the same generation that we're complaining about, they get into another country and they thrive in that other country. The difference is just the culture. That's just it. If you see a culture that provides things, maybe making them feel that their work matters. A typical Gen Z want to be known, want to be filled, want to be valued. They want their voice to be heard. If they find themselves in any organization that suppresses them, lo and behold, they will leave as soon as they can. They cannot thrive in a rigid environment. A number of our companies are too rigid. That's the truth. I've worked with both startup. I've worked in organizations that are maybe that have been around for a very long time, and I can see how both played out. Right? I think majorly is because we also do not let them see that there is a growth plan for them. You know what a typical Gen Z will see as retention is not what a millennial will see as a retention. A typical Gen Z will see that as much as I am growing over the last 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, that's retention to him. A typical millennial will see 5 years. Oh, I want to take an award for spending 5 years in an organization, spending 3 years in an organization. Our our orientation are not the same, and we just have to respect that. That would be my own submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we begin to round off, and I'm beginning to round off the training session, I will allow one or two persons to speak. If you have interest in being a part of our sales masterclass in Abuja or the revenue strategy mastermind for CEOs and you don't know how to do it, just check the comment box. The link is being dropped by my team. You can fill your details and we'll get across to you. It is happening live starting this week virtually and physically next week, Wednesday and Thursday. And it's a very practical session, no holds barred. Strategy. Revenue RSM is a strategy level training for executives on how to lead growth of their business, changing evolving buyer behaviors, how to adapt to them, how to create revenue systems that are repeatable, and a whole lot of that. While the sales masterclass is practical training on how to sell, right? The revenue strategy mastermind is a training on how to lead growth in a time relevant way, adapting to the evolving changes in buyer behavior, adapting to the evolving changes in the economy, adapting to the tools and technology solutions that are required in 2025, and there are a lot. While the sales masterclass is a pure sales execution training, very, very practical. You can feel that details and we'll get across to you. If you're paying, today is the time to pay. Right. So I'll allow one or two persons to ask their questions as we begin to talk about retention and wrap up. In all of these, we will continue as leaders to adapt and readjust ourselves to the people that will lead. And that's the central theme that I've gotten. Learn what is working for others, adapt yourself to those things as it applies to your business so that you can get better results from people. As long as your, as long as your unit economics, your units of operation is the human being, and the human being is unstable in his ways, you will continue to have changes. But what's important is for you to continue to adapt to those changes. If you have any questions to ask, you can raise your hand. I have a question here. Millennials seem to be more loyal and ready to work out themselves, but Gen Zs are not ready for that. They are fantastic people and highly intelligent, but do not take nonsense. Well, my own thinking is that that's also one of the things that I see you, Peter. I will have you speak shortly. I think that's one of the things that they need to learn, and that's why, it's been seen that there is a lot more incidents of what's it called now? Of killing oneself. What's the word now? By Gen Zs. Not
Suicide.
suicide,
Suicide.
maybe not necessarily in Nigeria. And the reason is because their level of tolerance is very limited. They have a higher level of they have lower threshold of tolerance. And once you have that, you cannot easily succeed. And that's why there is also an outcry in the work community that Gen Zs needs help. So I agree, they are very fantastic people, but there are life skills that are more important than being exceptional, than being intelligent, right? Emotional intelligence, they don't even know how to manage their bosses, many of them. They just drop some things on the ground like this. Boah, you just say, how can you say this? How can you say this? But they don't care. They will just say it the way they see it. All right. As much as they don't care, you say, oh, they are bold, you like them. The truth of the matter is they're in a position of leadership. Will you give somebody who does not know how to talk, the reins of leadership? You are not likely to. So it's important that they learn those skills. And I think that what Sean said is a way to go. We must create learning platforms that will enable behavioral changes for them. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. All right, Peter, please go ahead. Please go ahead. You have 30 seconds.
All right, just to join the conversation, I think two things stand out from the discussion. One of the things I want to quickly mention is the idea of culture, environment, the working space. So if some of these Gen Zs or our workers, the environment is is welcoming, and those leaders, perhaps the leaders in the organization, they make the working space welcoming, and people should be able to strive. I think they'll be able to do it. But many a time, just like what the last speaker said, some of our leaders, they are too fixated. So they use hard approach on their team members. Hardly do I call my staff, in quotes, I don't call them staff. I call them team member, because I see them that they are my team. We are working for the same common goal. Secondly, in terms of the Gen Zs, what they need, just like what you said, is mentorship. I tell you, one of the things that I'm doing so far, I try to help them understand that it is not about making money. It's not about the salary you are being paid. It's about the process, the knowledge, the experience you are gaining, you are accumulating now. So I think if leaders, if they're able to help these people to understand that it's not about money, it's not about the salary, it's about what they are becoming, I think they will do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Peter Akpala. Thank you for joining the conversation. Tosin Ojo asks, how do you overcome the pressure of compromise with some officers working for your potential clients? And if you fail to comply, they give it to others who are willing to comply with their demands. And I think, Tayo has been, at the forefront of ethical leadership, even taking that training in one of our sessions. I don't know if you want to speak to this. He works in a printing company where members of his company are working for competitors, meaning they are taking jobs. If I understand that correctly, they're taking jobs that are meant for his company and giving to, and these are senior people, all right? And he needs to play ball. What can you say about that? I think that will be about the last question I'll take after that, Mr. Damilare, and then we'll call it a day. Ogatiwa, what can you say about that? So how can he manage it?
I don't know what to manage in that, Bumi. So you work in an organization, you get paid in an organization, and then the business that is supposed to accrue to the organization to deliver the objectives of the organization, which then helps you get paid and get your bonus paid and allowances paid. You then take it to another place. I mean, it's a no-no. So ethics is ethics. And that's why on a yearly basis, we'll sign compliance report, we'll do a whole lot of things. And if you are fine on what, then you're shown the door. There is no two-way about it. I could be blunt about what I'm saying because maybe I've worked strictly all my life in structured multinational and all of that. So it's a no-no. And I'm not saying that in multinational that there are no bad eggs. That's not the issue. But more importantly, if there's a revenue leakage from senior people in the organization, then there's revenue leakage at the bottom of the organization. And the people at the top have no mouth to be able to chastise or deal with what is happening below the ranks because they also are involved. So as far as I'm concerned, the gentleman should just clean up the organization and start afresh. That's my view. And it goes to sales as well, where salesmen sometimes will get a job, but because they think, oh, I'm not going to get a bonus or I have hit my target for the year or for the month. And so even if I drop this into it, it's not going to make anything. Let me pass it on to somebody else and I get my own money from that point. It is complete killing the
Irresponsible.
organization, irresponsibility, and you should just resign and go away. Basically, that's what I would say.
And in all sincerity, there is a lot more of these things in this climb than you will ever find elsewhere. The truth is, if you have worked in, not necessarily even a multinational, small-sized organizations, any company, you will see that these are daily occurrences in businesses, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in printing, like just said, like consulting. You see people who would pass off the opportunities that come to the organization to somebody else where they can get a tip.
And then we call it side gigs.
And we call it side gigs. And he says, no. I mean, a gentleman that I interviewed, who I was asking him what took him away from his company. And he was honest enough to tell me that his former boss saw him as a competitor. How? His boss was doing a kind of business. He helps other people to do that kind of business. Said it's not his own business that he was giving those other people, that those other people come to him normally. So let's assume that he's doing printing. His boss is doing printing. That those people that come to their office for printing, they come to him as a person, not to the company. And they ask him to come and do that. And I'm like, oh, so what did your boss say? He said his boss began to see him as a threat. And he didn't understand that this was opportunity that he was getting based on the long history of working. And I was saying it so confidently, and I was looking at him and said, so, and that's the mindset. He believes that there is nothing wrong about it. All right, I'll allow you speak, Mr. Damilare and Emeka. You have 1 minute, and then we'll call it a day.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, you can mute your mic and speak. Just
Good
1
evening,
minute.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah, I'm happy being in this conversation. So as Mrs. Folomson have already said, she said mindset. I can just say about all these Gen Z is like, they don't want to work at all. Because having an interview with someone and the next question will be like, what's my salary payment? Is it all about the money, all about the skill you want to, but they do not have any idea or sense like, okay, what I want to get in this working, what is the ability for me working for this company? What did I want to give this company? What did I want to bring to the table for this company to be more greater? What you're just after is morning and morning. So that's what I just have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Again, let me say that it's both ways. Is what can I give, very importantly first, but also the company also must come to the table with what can we give you, helping you to develop, helping you to become someone better. If you do very well, what is the opportunities here for you? It's also very important. Otherwise, even when they get all of the skills and developments, when they are just becoming very useful to you, they will both away. Emeka, that's the last.
Okay. Briefly, I just want to comment on the question that was handled by Oga TY concerning compromise. Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He responded concerning insider compromise. This one I'm talking about our potential clients asking us to either give a markup to invoices in their favor or to do some kind of PR. In this way, our own companies do not support such. And if we are not able to do that, sometimes for us to get that business, we can do out-of-pocket PR, which may also hit on our private pockets. Sometimes it's not really too good. So, and if you bring such matter to management that we have this demand from our potential client? Is there any way we could work around, some envelopes or some packages? And if it's not in our culture, those potential clients will give the business to other companies, our competitors who are ready to compromise. Not like what Oga TY responded concerning insider compromise. This one is external compromise. So in cases like that, is it ethical for a sales staff to write to their top management on, send a kind of PRO or an envelope ahead of time, ahead of closing a deal, to be able to attract that business?
Okay.
Now, Peter is putting me under pressure and putting me on the spot. But I'll respond to you. And I've seen this severally, so not new and not strange. So there are two things when businesses do sales. Number one thing is there's what we call sales commission. There's what we call finder's fee. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's global, where somebody helps you to develop a business and you call it a business development fee. And as long as the organization recognizes that and factors it into the cost of doing business, then there's nothing wrong in officially having conversations within the organization. Because you pay sales commission to your salesman, you pay sales commission to someone who is an agent that helps you to find the business. So there's nothing wrong with that. Now, where there's a challenge is when you are using your own money to then do business development for an organization that does not recognize that you do that, and then they put their head in the sand as if it's not happening, then I have a challenge with that. So either the organization is not culture fit, and it has nothing to do with Nigeria, irrespective of where you are in the world. Even in the government circle, you hear that business development fee, finder's fee, sales commission fee, and the leaders in sales, they're on the call. They know that they can always tutor and speak about that, so that it is something that your organization needs to factor in as part of their cost of doing business. It's nothing to do with bribery. It's nothing to do with ethics. It's just someone says, I'm bringing my business to you and I want to somebody else. And that's just business. I hope
Well,
it's clear.
I
Yes,
agree
it
with
is, sir.
Israel. Many times in Nigeria we demonize things that are not demonic. I mean, I've said it on many occasions. There are many countries where you have lobbying as a part of the establishments. I think outright bribing is wrong. If somebody wants to help you get an opportunity and they ask you for a consideration for it, that's not bribery. That is someone saying, what is my pot if I give you this business? There's nothing wrong with it, except that person is compromising his own organization to give you. Then that's also from their own end bribery. What if it's, oh, I'm going to facilitate this business for you? I'm sorry, that's very, very legit. There's nothing wrong about it. All right. So let's not criminalize things that are, you can say that your organization does not do it. That's fine. We don't give anything to anybody to help us facilitate a business. But if you now have somebody in that company who is the person who is facilitating it and is now willing to compromise certain values, maybe it's even the approving authority. That's bribery. When that person is asking you for it or you're giving, that's you trying to compromise the person. But if he's a neutral party, there's nothing wrong about it. Absolutely not. In fact, that can be his own business. He can be spending days going there. He's an agent for you. That's who he is. An agency is a way to sell. So in many instances, I see us in Nigeria, we criminalize many things that are very, that are easily and known to law. It's been a very fantastic conversation. I think we have to end it here. I mean, we had over 100 participants at this webinar. Even now that we're closing, it's still about 80 something. Thank you very much for being a part of this. For those who are in Abuja, we're going to be starting the sales masterclass this week. If you have salespeople who you have not paid for them, you can copy these numbers and send us a hi. I see that many people have already filled the forms. If you are interested, please fill it. And in 2 months' time, for those of you who have been following us, you know that the CEO strategy retreat is holding on July the 9th. We're already preparing for it, and we're putting together a list of possible speakers that will be there. It's going to be very explosive. It's a time to take inventory of half of the year, by which time you must have achieved 2 hex already. All right. So I look forward to seeing you in Abuja if you're there. It's going to be a very busy week for us at Sales Ruby, for example. We're having trainings, over 4 or 5 trainings in the course of this week to next week, the upper week, fully booked. Thank you very much. It's been nice having you. Thank you, Tayo Ilori, for being a part of this. I'm very grateful. I think this will be the 4th or 5th time coming to these conversations. In spite of your busy schedule, I'm very, very thankful of that. Thank you very much. You know, Sheung, Mr. Sheung is of the Soft Alliance Group, and it's the first time coming here, but you've provided fantastic insight. Thank you very much. And lastly, Adorunga Folorunsho is someone I've known for close to a decade. I think she's been on this call with me once. I can't remember exactly, but I think so. And she's a very, very active member of our community. You can find her in the community if you have other questions for her. Very, 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 very well deserved. Thank you to you, madam, for being a part of this conversation. We'll have other conversations. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget, sorry, who is speaking? Oh, we'll never finish now.
Mommy, I need to something.
Mommy, someone, Mrs. Ellen Ogunrombi, someone is saying mommy. All right, so don't forget the goal in the course of this year is to achieve 4 hex minimum, right? And we're already coming to the half of the year. We're going to be taking inventory at the end of June. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful week ahead. See you. Peace.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
The class has been very impacting. You just have to have a winner's mindset as a salesperson. To do sales, you are not manipulating anyone, and that's the wrong perception that most people always have about sales.
One of the things I've learned is how B2B works, the mindset behind B2B, and the approach I can use. Even if I want to present my business, I now know how I can present it better.
During the training, we also introduced a role play. We also reveal how to deal with customer on a one-on-one basis.
I've been able to call 10 persons, fixed all appointments already, and I've gotten positive response from those that I've actually spoken to. And so it made the class not just fun, it made the class practical.
I now know how to prepare my pitch and how to sell to them, how to connect to them.
At least I would say that I've gotten green light to closing few deals, which are in millions actually. I've gotten green light, something I've not been able to do for a while. So during the class, I was able to reach out to some potential clients and I've gotten positive response. So
in this session today, I actually closed an opportunity. I actually booked an appointment with someone at Dufil, that's Power Oil, and that's actually very interesting. It was very comfortable for me to be able to make a rapport with this person.
At the end of the day, I discovered that what I'm going home with is actually more than the fee I paid. In all honesty, what I'm going home with is more than the fee that was actually paid. So,
and also we were well fed as well during the program. So there were intervals for breakfast and also for lunch. So in a way to motivate those who came for the program.
Winning in 2024!